An Urban Sketchers Symposium is a gathering of artists to a particular city. We gather to attend curated sketch walks that give us a taste of local culture, and we gather to attend workshops and demonstrations from experienced artists to improve our skills. I attended the recently concluded Goa Sketch Carnival. In this video, I talk about my experience there and also give you a peek into the participant goodie bag that we all received. The first walk I had signed up for was called Rome of the Orient. It was a trip to Old Goa or Vella Goa, which was the capital of Goa since, if I'm correct, pre colonial times. This was the first structure we sketched. It's the Viceroy's Arch in Old Goa. As I'd just gotten off my saddle, I didn't have much time to pull out my watercolors, though I think I did a fairly good job getting an impression of the structure. There was lovely sunlight falling here in the interior of the arch. I hope that I've captured that as well. This is the arch to commemorate the arrival of Vasco da Gama to Goa. Next up is this sketch right here. This is the Saint Cajetan Church, again in Old Goa. And what's interesting about this particular church is that it was donated by the Italians to the Portuguese. So back in the day, Goa was a Portuguese colony in the middle of India. And their colonial thing was converting people to Catholicism. So if anyone wanted to trade with the local Portuguese powers, they had to offer fealty or offer a donation, curry favor. So to do that, the Italians offered them funding for a church. Next up is this one here, Church of Saint Francis of Assisi, Old Goa. The more famous Say Cathedral is just to the right of this building. The sketches I did that morning, I think this was the one that I spent the most time with, around 30 minutes, with my paints and my water brush. And I think it shows. I think this is my favorite from the sketches I did. Next up is this structure, which was in the interior of the St. Cajetan Church, which we saw earlier. After the tour group left, after the rest of the sketch group left, I stayed back and I managed to sit here in near silence. There was the occasional tour guide with their group coming by, but this gave me a lovely chance to eavesdrop on them. And one of the stories I heard was rather interesting and, might I say, racist as well. So, what I was told is that there are a bunch of bodies which are buried on the premises of this church. And the reason for that is a lot of the Portuguese did not want their remains to be buried on quote unquote Hindu soil. So they paid crazy money to make sure that their remains went back to Portugal. However, this wasn't always possible for different reasons. So plan B was to have your family buried here in a common grave because the church was considered quote unquote European soil. Whew. On the evening of day one, we headed over to this place, the Church of the Immaculate Conception, colloquially known as the Panjim Church, which is the most famous landmark in Panjim city. We were here to both sketch and take a group photo. This is the only bit of sketching I did. Went over, took the photograph, and then just wandered off with a bunch of sketchers to go grab a drink. Next morning, the sketch walk I had signed up for was called Mint and Tobacco, something like that. So, this is the Church of St. Thomas, South Tome. This area also happens to be the starting point of Panji city. What is currently the post office right opposite this church here was also the building where the tobacco was stored, and right next to it was the old coin mint. It was 8:30 in the morning, first sketch of the day. I was slightly hungover. This was a bit of a warm up. I think I went too big, given that I only had about 20 minutes to do this. I did, however, add a little sliver of a human figure, something which I did not do enough of on day one. The next sketch was more of a task, a fun task. Our sketch lead Darpana asked us to look around the homes in the area and pick one architectural element that caught our eye. For me, it was these nameplates, which are made of ceramic tiles. Each house in this region has one of these. The blue is the old school one, apparently, but today you can get them in colors like red, sometimes purple, and also a hint of yellow now and then. Next up was also a task. As we were walking down the streets, we were asked to do a sketch without lifting our pen off our paper. This is what I managed to achieve with my Sailor Fude nib pen. And I must say, I am very happy with this result. More so because I finally managed to put in some human figures. This also happens to be the rather well known Joseph Bar in Punjab. Then, for the evening sketch, we headed over to the riverfront. Now, having been here before and having seen how the light changes the previous evening, I came prepared. The the river mouth is filled with all these big gambling boats, big casinos on the water. I sat by the riverfront right under a street light. I drew out the boat, and I knew I would have some lovely reflections when the sun set. But to my disappointment, the street light I was sitting under simply refused to come on. This is how much I managed to sketch on location, and then I had to give up. I came back and completed the rest of the sketch here at my desk. This concluded the official leg of the Goa Sketch Carnival. However, the next day I decided to do one additional sketch. This was the sketch I spent the most amount of time on. I spent about 2.5 hours doing this. This was somewhere on the streets of Fountainash. Fountainash? I'm just going to call it the Latin Quarter. Heavy tourist spot. So I had quite a few tourists stopping by, staring over my shoulder to see what I was doing. The owner of the house was also kind enough to step outside and have a chat with me. So overall, this was also a very, very fun experience. I'm back from the Goa Sketch Carnival, and now I'm finally getting down to unpacking this goodie bag. This is the first time I am looking at it as well. There's a cap, well, for obvious reasons. Ooh, I got a nice color. There is, what is this? A set of pencils of different gradation. It says Love Art. I am not familiar with this brand, but I am going to find out. What else do we have here? Oh, that's nice. A little Holbein swatch kit. This will be useful. Next up is a little sketchbook from Artorium, which is a local stationery shop in Panjim. Oh, they mentioned this when I was walking around. I think it's got a bunch of different papers in it. Ah, it's a paper trial kit. This is nice. These don't have a name to it. This does. There's a Brustro here. There is Amaris, which is a local brand. What other papers do we have? More Brustro. Seems like a nice textured paper. What else do we have? Oh, God's Grace. Never heard of that before. Let's see. Might be interesting. This is a very local brand. It's from my city itself. It's not a great paper, to be quite honest, but still works for swatching. I have no idea how to say this, so I'm not going to try. Neither have I tried the paper before. Canson. Familiar name. Oh, so many. Didn't know Camlin had a paper. Here's all the papers that are included in this booklet. This is going to be a useful addition for sure. Ooh, spiral binding could have been better. Next. I love stickers. These will come in handy. Toms. More pencils. Ooh, I have so many pencils now. What's this? What's this? Oops. Should have used this while I was in Panjim. Could have gotten a cheap meal. Too late. This is a paper sample set from Hanamula. This is a brand I've been wanting to try out for a while. This will also come in handy. Few more items. This is watercolor paint and palette, 12 colors by Thuvi. A lot of local brands. Let me open this up and see what we have. How interesting. Never used this brand before. They say that their colors are comparable to international artist grade colors. I have my doubts. I would not pay money to buy paints from this brand, but now that I have a sample set, I will give it a try. What else? What else? These are pocketbook. Okay, that's interesting. This is by another local sponsor. They make notebooks. That's quite interesting. This will definitely come in handy. 10% off for what is that? Jet ski? Too late. Back home already. A map of the town. And an overview of the demo artists and where they will be doing their demos. Interesting. Last item in the bag. Oh, this is very useful. It's a kneadable eraser. Might not look like much, but this is the exact one that I use. So this is one which I am rather excited to have. So there we go. Goodie bag from the Goa Sketch Carnival 2025. Ta-da!